So I'm late today. It's about 1:45 right now, so the reveals have been out for a little bit. I haven't looked at them yet. I know they're out, but I haven't looked at them. So let's fix that, yeah. Very simple card to start off with. 2 mana burst speed Noxian spell, Legionary Charge, draw an ally with 5+ power, or grow an ally to 5 power this round. This lets you burst speed, that's the big one too. Burst speed for this is kind of ridiculous. This lets you either draw a big fucker, to have later on, or play immediately after because it's burst speed, or while you're in combat, you can, like, damn, wait, this is so good for combat. You can use this in, like, an aggro deck. Have your full board of 6 attack, and your opponent doesn't have enough blockers for everyone. And you just go, okay, you didn't block my 1/1 Spiderling? Well, it's a 5/1 now. Do you have removal, sir? But I think in Reputation specifically, 9 out of 9 times this is going to be used to just draw a unit. Give you something to play immediately. But that combat trick is very good for the rest of Noxus. Being able to have just a random, like, 1-drop grow up to 5 power in a second, that creates a scary circumstance that your opponent has to be able to respond to. Because if they don't, I mean, 5 power to face is a quarter of your health. Next up is Brutal Skirmish, a 3 mana fast in Noxus. Destroy an enemy's equipment that an ally and that enemy strike each other. I mean, the strike effect should trigger without needing to destroy an enemy's equipment. You should be able to use this on any given unit. Single combat with a potential upside for 1 more mana. Basically, that's what this boils down to, yeah. The destroying an enemy's equipment is a good effect, but the strike afterwards can be a downside in situations, right? I mean, maybe it'll work that if you have no units on board, you can just outright destroy the enemy's equipment and the strike effect won't happen. There is no destroy an enemy's equipment to strike that enemy. There's no 2, which is usually the signifier that one thing needs to happen for the next thing to happen. So theoretically, you could destroy an enemy's equipment with an empty board, and theoretically, you could strike an enemy that doesn't have equipment. That said, the pieces don't quite work together here. I think most of the time, when you're destroying an enemy's equipment, you kind of don't want to have to immediately strike that enemy right away. Now, removing that first part, if I am actually just looking to strike an enemy, and I have that potential upside of destroying their equipment first, that's the situation where I like it. In a situation where I'm looking for the strike, this card is great. In a situation where I'm looking to destroy the equipment, this card gets a little bit iffier. Rune Squire is a 2 mana 2/1 when I'm summoned, Reforge. Okay, that is... I mean, it's simple. My mind immediately goes to Sapling. Sapling, obviously, is the token. Maokai generates 2 mana, or not 2 mana, I don't know. It's probably a 1 mana card. It's an ephemeral 2/1 with Challenger, that's my point. And you can use that to drag aside, like, big units, drag aside some weaker units even, that just have that 2 health and you want to get rid of. So, I feel like Rune Squire, having that, and then having the potential to Reforge too, that's where this card starts getting really good. Skip round 1, play this on 2, get quick attack, fragment, profit. Yeah, that's a play, exactly. On turn 2, you can high roll the quick attack, and you can attack with Rune Squire, and just, you have a safe attack. That's a 2 mana, or 3 mana with the shard. 3 mana quick attack Challenger 2/1. That's pretty good. That's a really good hit. Like, just through and through. You want to hit that if you can. There's also, like, other potential with this, right? This card works really well in a lot of situations. Let's say you're working with, I don't know, Swain level 1. You have Swain on board, and you have your Rune Squire. You can high roll the Overwhelm, and if there's a big unit that Swain wouldn't be able to block, or that would be able to block Swain, you can pull it aside with the Rune Squire and put the Overwhelm on Swain, and he gets to strike the Nexus, even if the enemy does have another blocker that can block him, basically. In a similar vein, he also can high roll, I don't know which shard it is, but the one that gives him more power. that'll let him challenge bigger enemies and pull aside bigger threats and be able to trade into them. As a 2-drop. A 2-drop can grow to 4 power by itself with its own tools and, like, trade into level 2 Ezreal, for example. And that's really good. That's really good. Being able to reforge immediately when you summon this thing makes it so much better. Better Valor, basically. If this was a Last Breath reforge, like the other Squire, Last Breath reforge wouldn't be half as good as this is. Because it would generate that reforge on its death. It would be kind of in line with what you want to do with Maokai, where you're sacrificing the unit to pull aside something stronger than it anyway. But the fact that it gets the reforge on summon is where a lot of this card's power comes in. Alright, Icathian Myths is a 2-mana Demacian burst. Okay. Create an Icathian Mirage in hand that costs 0 this round, or create a Golden Spatula in hand. I'm assuming that's this card. Earth? Yes, this is Earth. That is funny. We have Earth in LOR. I guess we do. And the Golden Spatula is a 2-mana +3/+2. Doesn't... It must do something. What is this card doing? So, okay, you can create a unit to play. You can create a 3/2 to play. At burst speed. It's not a burst summon, it's a burst play effect. Or you create the equipment. I guess the concept behind this is, like, use Catch, the 1-cost Weapon Master spell that lets you equip a unit with a 2-cost weapon. Like, I guess that's the intention behind this, but this isn't a Weapon Master. This is just a normal-ass card. You can't put this in your Jax decks. If you want to play this with Jax, you have to run it in Demacia. But this card seems so Jax. Like, everything about this card. The Icathian Mirage, the 2-mana equipment. This seems very Jax, and yet you can't main deck it with Jax. It seems as if we have another token situation, as we have the Darkin Aegis, 2-mana +1/+1 tough. You may spend 5 mana to play me as Joraal. That is the cheapest Darkin by far. And Joraal, 5 mana Darkin, Challenger, tough. Your opponent's spells cost 2 more while I'm attacking. As a 4/3? Jesus. Like, weak stat line. Very weak stat line for a 5-cost. 5 mana 4/3? That's not good. But, double keywords, tough, which gives you a lot more survivability, and Challenger, which lets you pick weaker units so you're not really in danger while you're attacking. And then, while he's attacking, all opponent spells cost 2 more. That's really fucking good. That's really good. And Demacia is no slouch at, like, providing buffs, right? So you can easily, like, keep your Joraal safe. You can give him barriers. You can give him extra health to stay alive in the heat of combat. And just keep attacking. And he's not in danger when he attacks at all, pretty much. Because you grab him, you pull aside, like, whatever your opponent's weakest unit is, and Joraal is safe. Your opponent might be playing, like, Ionia or something, and all you gotta do is, like, pull aside their Eye of the Dragon. That won't do anything against this tough. And if they want to play buffs to try and trade into Joraal, all of those spells now cost 2 more. Your Twin Disciplines goes from 2 cost to 4 cost. That is nuts, dude. This is really good deck tech. I mean, Fiora Pantheon is a deck that sees a lot of play right now. I could see that becoming now working with Darkin Aegis in it, because tough is a great keyword to have on a lot of Fated units, helps keep them alive. That +1/+1 is fantastic. This is a good equipment to put on your Fated units that you want to attack with. Whereas right now the Darkin Lodestone is used a lot more to support your Fated units and help them grow further. Darkin Aegis is really good at keeping your Fated units alive. And then, once the Darkin Aegis, you know, returns to hand, once your Fated unit dies, fucking Joraal, with any amount of the stats that you can give it in a Fated deck, the stronger you can make this unit, the better he's gonna be. Hell, I mean, even just within that deck, combining Harazi and Joraal together, making Joraal a 7/7 with Spell Shield. That's ridiculous. That's really hard to deal with. Joraal's a beast, man. This card's gonna be really good. We didn't really get a look at whatever champion is supposed to be coming next. That's mildly concerning. I mean, tomorrow's patch day, so we're gonna know what's coming tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow has to be a champion. That has to be the case. Man, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.